Since President Donald Trump took office in January, his administration has faced a relentless wave of lawsuits challenging his policies and executive actions. Legal experts predict that many of these cases will ultimately land before the Supreme Court, setting the stage for a historic judicial showdown. From immigration policies to federal funding disputes, the Trump administration's aggressive use of executive power has sparked a fierce legal battle that could redefine the boundaries of presidential authority. A wave of legal challenges. President Trump began his second term with a flurry of executive orders and directives, many of which have since become the targets of numerous legal challenges. Within days of his inauguration, more than 40 lawsuits were filed against the administration, targeting policies such as birthright citizenship, immigration enforcement, federal funding freezes, and federal employee buyouts. Even high-profile initiatives like Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and legal actions against FBI and Department of Justice, DOJ, employees have faced scrutiny in the courts. John Malcolm, Vice President of the Institute for Constitutional Government at the Heritage Foundation, told Fox News Digital that Trump's assertive use of executive power was bound to provoke legal pushback. President Trump is certainly being aggressive in terms of flexing executive power, and I'm not at all surprised that these actions are being challenged, Malcolm said. He added that many of these cases, particularly those involving birthright citizenship, are likely to reach the Supreme Court. If there ends up being a split among the courts, that issue will certainly be taken up by the U.S. Supreme Court. Malcolm noted, constitutional and legal violations. Alleged Erwin Chemerinsky, dean of the UC Berkeley School of Law, argued that many of Trump's executive orders violate the Constitution and federal laws. President Trump has issued a myriad orders violating the Constitution and federal laws. Chemerinsky said, many already have been enjoined by the courts. He emphasized that the critical question is whether Trump will comply with judicial orders, even if he disagrees with them. Almost without exception, throughout American history, presidents have complied with Supreme Court orders, even when they strongly disagree with them, Chemerinsky noted. One recent example of judicial pushback occurred when a Rhode Island federal judge ordered the Trump administration to unfreeze federal funds, ruling that the administration had failed to adhere to a previous court order. The administration quickly appealed the decision to the First Circuit Court of Appeals, but the appeal was denied. This case, among others, highlights the growing tension between the judiciary and the executive branch under Trump's leadership. Fast track to the Supreme Court. Legal experts predict that many of these disputes will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court, particularly those involving significant constitutional questions or large-scale financial implications. Malcolm pointed to cases where judges have ordered the federal government to spend billions of dollars, despite the administration's objections. Judges ordering the federal government to spend billions of dollars when the administration is saying that that is not in the best interests of the United States. I would expect that issue to be on a fast track to the U.S. Supreme Court, Malcolm said. The Supreme Court's role in resolving these disputes could have far-reaching implications for the balance of power between the branches of government. With a conservative majority on the court, many observers are watching closely to see how the justices will rule on cases involving Trump's policies. Judge shopping and liberal jurisdictions. Many of the lawsuits against the Trump administration have been filed in historically left-leaning federal court jurisdictions, such as the Washington and D.C. federal courts. These jurisdictions are known for their progressive rulings, and critics have accused plaintiffs of judge shopping to increase their chances of success. Judge shopping is nothing new, Malcolm said. So I'm not at all surprised that these lawsuits challenging the Trump administration are being filed, for the most part, in the bluest of blue areas where the odds are high that the judge, who's going to be considering the issue, has a liberal orientation, have already been appealed to the appellate courts, including the Ninth and First Circuits, which are known for their progressive rulings. The Ninth Circuit, in particular, has a higher reversal rate than other circuit courts, making it a frequent battleground for high-stakes legal disputes. The role of the Office of Special Counsel. The legal challenges against the Trump administration are not limited to policy disputes. On Monday, Special Counsel Hampton Dellinger, who was appointed by former President Joe Biden to lead the Office of Special Counsel, sued the Trump administration in D.C. federal court after he was fired on Friday. This case highlights the ongoing tension between the Trump administration and its political appointees, as well as the broader legal battles over executive authority. Malcolm noted that the Trump administration is on more solid legal footing when it comes to cases involving the firing of political appointees. However, he acknowledged that the administration's aggressive agenda will continue to face legal challenges throughout Trump's second term. There are a lot of these issues that end up coming up, Malcolm said, reflecting on the Biden administration's legal challenges. And I suspect that the same sorts of issues will come up during the Trump administration, and there'll be full employment for lawyers throughout his entire term. A precedent from the Biden administration. Malcolm pointed to the Biden administration's efforts to redefine sex in Title IX as gender identity as an example of the types of legal challenges that can arise from executive actions. In early January, a Kentucky federal judge blocked the Biden administration's attempt to implement this change, underscoring the judiciary's role in checking executive power. There are a lot of these issues that end up coming up, Malcolm said, noting that similar challenges are likely to arise during the Trump administration. The broader implications, the ongoing legal battles between the Trump administration and the judiciary, have broader implications for the future of executive power in the United States. As Trump continues to push his agenda through executive actions, the courts will play a critical role in determining the limits of presidential authority, with many cases likely to reach the Supreme Court. The justices will have the final say on some of the most contentious issues of our time. Legal experts agree that the judicial pushback against Trump's agenda is unprecedented in its scale and intensity. Whether the courts will ultimately uphold or strike down Trump's policies remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the battle between the executive and judicial branches is far from over. As Malcolm put it, there'll be full employment for lawyers throughout his entire term. Conclusion: the wave of lawsuits against President Trump's agenda reflects the deep divisions and high stakes of his presidency. From immigration policies to federal funding disputes, the legal challenges facing the administration are likely to shape the future of executive power in the United States. With many cases expected to reach the Supreme Court, the judiciary will play a pivotal role in determining the outcome of these battles. As the Trump administration continues to push its agenda, the courts will remain a critical check on executive authority, setting the stage for one final face-off between the president and the judiciary.